So I do plan to take on few questions from people, but first I think you have a set of questions that, so these are questions that come to us from various people. So we've collected a few of them. I would like to answer them and then we'll...
The first question is, you spoke about sadhana, sir, and you spoke about the importance of doing continuous sadhana. The question is that there are a lot of badhas that come during this sadhana, during the Vishesh sadhanas as well. So is it because the person is doing something wrong individually, or are there higher forces at play here?
No, so two things you need to understand, and this takes from the last part of what I was saying. Statistically speaking, so there are a lot of people doing the Vishesh sadhanas, right? More or less, I would say that at least 70% of the people do not face any issues with the Vishesh sadhana. But that is a default rule for any upasana. There is never going to be any upasana, and that by that I mean even the simplest sadhanas, where if you make like thousands of people do it, there will always be 5-10% who will have issues. But those issues are more due to various karmic obstacles that are present in those individuals, and that could be a lot of things. I mean, I had dealt with a case once where somebody, whatever sadhana they used to do, would cause a lot of problems in and around that individual, and it happened for a period of 2-3 years continuously. मतलब एक आध बार नहीं, 2-3 साल तक हुआ था. Then some means were used to figure out things, and it was found that there was a curse of a deity in their family for many generations past, and until that was resolved, they could not go ahead. That is an offbeat case, but very often, if somebody is seeing that continuously there are obstacles happening specifically with respect to Vishesh sadhanas, it is important to first get a check of whether there is any Pitru related issues, because if your Pitrus are disturbed, they do flare up when certain sadhanas are done, because they don't feel peaceful. Depends on the Pitru actually. Pitru kuch nahi hai, jo whatever they were in their human birth, in their life, if they were not spiritual, they're not going to turn spiritual after death. They'll still have the same attitude. Koi sant nahi banne wala itna aasani se. So that's one thing. Then there could be sarpa doshas, there could be other factors like this. Like in this particular instance, it's a rare instance. The best attitude to take is that take it as a burning of the karmas. And if one is still more disturbed about it, then I mean, I'm sure hundreds of people use the, go to a good astrologer and get your Vighrahas checked and all that. Whatever jo karna hai karo, usme koi dikkat nahi hai. But sadhana jo hai, by itself the sadhana is not, by default it does not cause any kind of huge amount of problems for people, because if that were the case, I would have been aware of it, because I get all the feedbacks and everything. So I don't respond to mails, but I read all mails. So more or less, if this is the case in an individual, first of all, consider that it is a burning of the karmas that is happening. Number two, if there are any kind of horoscopic problems, whether it is related to Pitrus, whether it's related to Sarpadoshas, these are the two major things that cause a lot of issues to people. Or if there's some other kind of offbeat problem, like once I remember somebody was staying at a place where the place had a problem. So there was some spirit or something like that. The moment they would do any sadhana intensely, normal course is fine. So when you're doing Vishesh sadhana, you're intensifying the energy, right? So intense sadhana, whenever they used to do, some of the other difficulties would happen. Then finally they had to do homas and all that to calm down. So these kind of things can cause problems, but in general, Vishesh sadhana is unlikely to repeatedly cause you any trouble. In fact, on the other hand, my reading from what I have seen in case of most people is that it gets a lot of strength and it boosts people. I'm not saying that it's going to give you a lot of material benefit also. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है, ना भी हो सकता है. But definitely it boosts the person's energy, gives them a greater strength, and allows you to go ahead in the path of sadhana much better.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
That was a question that comes very often. We see it on all your videos, right? So thank you so much for answering it. No. The second question has two questions actually.
Okay.
So while doing Bhairava Sadhana, if someone experiences a lot of heat in the body, what does it signify? And also that somebody is getting very angry after doing Bhairava Sadhana, what does that signify? Is it good, or what does it mean?
Okay. So, generation of heat in the mind and body is a very common phenomenon in a lot of sadhanas, not just Bhairava sadhanas. Many Devata upasanas, including, for example, if there are mantra upasana of Hanumanji also, if you do, there are certain mantra upasanas, it generates a lot of heat in the body. Narasimha upasanas will generate heat in the body. So, what needs to be done is you have to, if it happens to somebody, one simple thing is to keep some water nearby, and as you keep doing japa, use that water and splash it a little bit behind your ears. These are specific nerve points, or you put it in the this kind of these places, nerve points. It will calm down the heat to a degree. Number two, you have to eat food that helps to cool you down. So this phenomenon is not going to happen to everybody. To some people it will happen because everybody has a different body mind constitution, right? So when this happens, secondly is that do not do very intense fasting. At least eat food that helps to cool down the body. Not overeat, but neither go into very hard kind of fasting. So if you do extremely intense fasting day after day, for example, like a lot of people do on Navratris, 9 days of fasting. 9 days of fasting is good. Along with that, if you're doing a lot of sadhana, it will generate heat. So long as you're able to handle that, no problem. But if you have to send a question, that means you can't handle that. So in that case, eat food that helps you to cool down. Keep some water. Splash those water, especially behind the ears. Those are nerves that get heated up. You'll feel better when doing the sadhana. And if that does not help and it's still bothering, reduce the intensity of the sadhana in that case. Okay, if you're doing a lot of malas, then reduce it. See, sadhana has two aspects. One is intensity, which is that, say I sit and do 100 malas every day, and like that you finish 1 lakh, बहुत बढ़िया है वो अनुष्ठान के लिए, पुरुषार्थन के लिए it is very good. But there's another thing to sadhana, which is the time. Like I stated right at the beginning, 3 years, 12 years, these are very important. It does not matter even if you do 24-hour mantra japa and sadhana. If it does not cross the 12-year barrier, it is not done. That time has to be given. That time is in Mahakal's hand. He is the final judge who will decide ki, how long have you been able to sustain. So sadhana is not a 100-meter race. It is like a marathon. So you have to conserve your energy to look far. Ki, मुझे वहाँ तक पहुँचना, इस time तक I have to continue. And anyway, somebody, if he or she continues for 10, 12 years unbroken, so it becomes a part of your system. It will never go out. It's like having food. You will do it. चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए, आपका साधना तो चलता ही रहेगा आपके साथ. So that energy is there like that. You yourself will change as a person. Everything around you will change. Equation with people will change. Because the deities will decide कि क्या आपके लिए सही है. What is good for you. So for heat, that is the thing to be done. What was the second part?
The second part was, the head feels heavy.
Right. So head feeling heavy is also something parallel to this. Basically, when mantra japa is done intensely, then these things happen. It just shows basically that Shakti is getting generated. Anytime you feel discomfort, primarily it is because the amount of Shakti you are generating in the sadhana, your mind, body, your adhara, by the word adhara I mean the mind and body that is there, is perhaps not capable of digesting the full Shakti. So when it is not able to digest the full Shakti, part of it will spill out. That spilling out effect hota hai, whether it's anger, whether it's sudden rush of something, it happens to all upasaks, by the way. Don't think that it is unique to one or two individual. Everybody it happens to. Eventually you reach a state where you can handle both. You know what is the right optimum state of sadhana and how to control if there's an anger issue, if it feels heavy on the head, बहुत ज़्यादा disturbance हो रहा है तो you reduce the japa for some time. Use water, eat food at the right time, go to sleep at the right time. These things will help to build our systems correctly aligned for this sadhana or any sadhana for that matter. In fact, I personally believe that Devata Upasana Mantra Japa is the best sadhana for this age. Better than hard yogic practices, because hard yogic practices require a lot of purity inside. And nobody who lives in a big city today can remain pure. It's impossible. There's absolute million levels of pollution around you. Just from a hotel to here, there was 1 million traffic jam. So that will immediately, your mind will get, when you're walking down the road, there is pollution, there is some sound, this, that, etc. Kuch na kuch to ho raha hai always. The cities that we have, mega cities that we have, are not fit for a person to reach the highest state of sadhana. But that's okay. At least 30% भी आप पहुंच जाते हो, तो that's also a big deal. That takes you far. And then if somebody is destined, that is why great upasakas, people who are very serious in sadhana, एकदम 10-12 साल साधना कर रहे, they reach a high state, they will keep a portion of time where they may move out of the city, maybe say 10 days or 15 days, find the right place where you are undisturbed and you can do some sadhana, जो भी आप करते हो, जिनका भी आप पूजा करते हो, and then you come back, recharging your mind and body. Because in city, and that is for all cities, by the way. Don't think it's only for Mumbai. Every city is not fit for taking a person to the highest level because too much pollution is there. Anyway, that's it. So whenever these issues happen, food at the right time, keep water, little bit of spillage of energy in terms of anger, and these things will happen. You pray to the deity, you pray to Bhairava, you pray to Tara, जो भी जिनका भी आप पूजा कर रहे हो, कि I am facing this issue. Can you help me out? If you keep praying, they will give you a solution. They will help you to balance things eventually so that you reach an optimum state कि आपका साधना भी ठीक से चले, and these issues also are within control. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
You spoke about being in the city, right? There is a point in the instructions in the sadhanas that you give where you say that it's ideal to do the sadhana in one city, that you shouldn't be traveling in the middle of an Anusthan. Can you please can you please explain what the importance of being in one place is? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of questions come, okay, if I can't travel, why can't I travel? Is it okay to go somewhere in between my Anusthan and come back? Can you please explain?
Yeah. So, for any sadhana that you do, Anusthan specifically, there are two parts of upasanas traditionally. एक होता है कि नित्य उपासना. नित्य उपासना is what you do every day. तो नित्य उपासना carries on till the last day of your life. उसमें कोई change नहीं होता है. Once you set into the process कि ये आपका नित्य उपासना है, it will carry on. Depending on your time and your inclination, you decide कि आपका नित्य उपासना क्या है, कितना करना है. And then there are booster doses of sadhana, which is Anusthan, Purushchan and all these things. So technically what is known as in upasana, एक होता है नित्य उपासना, then there is नैमित्तिक उपासना. नैमित्तिक उपासना means and these are for serious people. Suppose you are worshipping Matara, yeah, you are worshipping Bhairava. तो भैरव जब आपका हर रोज चल रहा है, every day it is going on. अष्टमी तिथिज you are doing विशेष साधना. ये जो विशेष साधना आप कर रहे हो अष्टमी तिथिज में, technically this is known as नैमित्तिक पूजा, which means that on specific tithis of the devata you do something more. You tell the deity that okay, these days I will do some little bit more than what I normally do. Nitya upasana is your daily upasana. Whether it is Tara, whether it's Durga, whether it's anybody. So depending on the tithi of the deity, these things are done. Those who do Naimittika puja for Ma Kali would choose to do it on Amavasya tithis like this. So this is the way it is done. Then there is another thing which is known as the Anusthan. Anusthan is basically, Anusthan is literally this 100-meter sprint race. So you start your day, I am going to do this sadhana. In so many days I will do. In fact, very strict Anusthan jab kiya jata hai, which I do not recommend for everybody. That's because the arrangement here is like this. See, I won't be able to meet you every day or guide you personally all the time, because that's the constraint that is there physically. So in that case, we make the Anusthan a little bit more relaxed. Few things work very well if doing an Anusthan. One is that same place. If you remain in the same place, the energy becomes very high. If you travel, the energy, there is no negative impact per se, but only thing is that the energy buildup will become a little less. That's one point, which is still better than not doing the Anusthan at all. If it's a choice between that I will not do it and I will do it but I'll have to travel for office or anything else, jo bhi ho, so then do it. Doesn't matter. When, as I say, when the right time comes, nature sab arrangement kar dega. Trust nature. Trust nature. There is no greater guru in the whole universe than nature. Nature knows who you are, where you come from, where you stand right now, where you are going. Apart from same place, second thing comes in the same time. That is also important. Again, for our case, I do not put that restriction because you do not know that what time you may have some this or that, etc. But traditional method mein when Anushtans are done, so again, I told you right at the beginning that the Shastras were written for the person who is aiming for Siddhi. Shastras were actually not written for ordinary people like you. I mean the Tantric Upasanas. By Shastras, I mean Tantric, not the other Shastras. Shastra is a very wide word and a lot of things are covered. Tantric Upasanas were written specifically with keeping this in aim, that how does one person reach the highest state? In order to reach the highest state, they were looking at maximizing the effect. Okay. So maximizing the effect means same time, same place, सेम मंत्र जो भी है, जो पद्धति से आप पूजा कर रहे हो. अच्छा, देर आर मल्टीपल द वेरी ट्रेडिशनल नियम हैज टू बी दैट कोई एक देवता का जब पुरुषचरण किया जाता है, अनुष्ठान किया जाता है, दे वुड से दैट एटलीस्ट first 3 or 4 anushtans, the energy that you generate is taken over by various kinds of obstacles that you have in your life, whether it's Kula Devata, whether it's Sthana Devata, any other badhas, any other disturbances, they will suck in, because you are generating prana by doing this sadhana. You're generating an energy. That energy feeds all these things, neutralizes these things. By the time the 4th anushtan happens, then it kind of sticks to your order. In very old sampradayas, they would say that between one diksha and the second diksha, आजकल तो diksha बहुत आसान हो गया है. It's very easy to get dikshas. Yeah. But between the first and the second diksha, 7 anushtans of the deity had to be done. और उसमें भी more clauses were added. Like one anushthan you do at home. Second anushtan may be your guru's place. Third anushtan at a remote location where no one disturbs you. Fourth anushtan may be at a hill where there are, or fifth anushtan may be at a forest or something like that. Okay. So these things were there. We cannot follow all of that today. Not everybody can follow, at least. So my suggestion is that if you can do it at the same place, then it is ideal. But if you really have to travel, then travel, but that compromise is there. The energy will be a little less than what would have happened had you been in the same place, but that's better than not doing anything. Okay.
How do we find a genuine guru? Like, how do we know that the person we are following?
There is, in this age, there is no foolproof way of knowing. Let me tell you this. At the end, look at it this way. So, if it's there in your destiny that you will have to suffer for this, तो you will suffer. कुछ नहीं कर सकते आप. But practical way of finding a guru is that you have to observe the individual for quite a period of time. Number 2, उसके भी पहले you must have a clarity in your head. What is your path? Okay, and I'm not talking for people who are already doing the Bhairava Sadhana, but in general. So ऐसा नहीं कि मुझे I like Lord Krishna, फिर मैं जाके कहीं तंत्र दीक्षा ले लिया, फिर तीसरा कहीं योगा कर लिया, मतलब आपका बेस ही नहीं है. You have not understood what you exactly want. So long as you don't have that clarity inside, nature is going to give you tathastu to everything that you want, and then you will have the full khichdi, and then you don't know what to eat and what not to eat. That said, it takes time to find a genuine guru, number 1. And second thing to remember is that this may sound very dramatically opposite to what many people would say, that even the best of gurus also have a human aspect. Remember this always. There is no perfection. Okay, the great gurus are very great, but they are unlikely to come to you. Let's be very honest about it. I see people every day. कोई हिमालय से आएगा, तुम्हारे पास क्यों आएगा भाई? इतने महापुरुष हो तो हो ही जाता अभी तक. ठीक है. So these kind of never live in fantasy world. Live in the common sense world. Common sense works outside spirituality. Common sense works inside spirituality also. Take your time to judge gurus. Take your time to see. Take your time to understand that if this aligns with you or not. What is your real aim? What is it that you want inside? Okay, based on that, if there is an alignment, even after that also you may find gurus who are not perfect. No guru is 100% perfect in this age, because the age is like this. Number 1. Number 2 is that what is the necessity of the guru that you have to understand. What role is the guru going to fill up for you? So if you have a guru now this is for the initial stages, right? This question also comes up with the additional question that I sometimes get, what about Tantra Diksha and all that? Tantra Diksha is very important, no doubt, at a certain stage. But Tantra Diksha का भी बहुत तरीका होता है. Not every Diksha that passes off as Tantra Diksha today is actually a Tantra Diksha. And that is the biggest spiritual jhol that goes on, I'm afraid. But that apart, not naming anybody or anything, proper karma kind of Tantra Diksha, if you have to go into, you have to understand कि are you fit to do that sadhana, और क्या आपके पास समय है, क्या आपका mindset वो है. Which is why I personally consider this Vishesh sadhanas as the sadhanas that we get done collectively are the best things in the sense that they have the right balance. You can do the sadhanas, you can keep progressing, and after that, if and when there is a necessity for somebody to have a diksha, that will also come in time. But there is absolutely no 100% foolproof method of finding a absolutely correct guru. Or usme bhi if you are going very deep. So I personally have 3 gurus. In future, if I find somebody worthy, I'm always ready to take discipleship and learn, because there's no end to learning. But one is what your guru teaches you, one is your own effort, and one is something extra that you have to do which nobody has taught you. And that comes at the end of the sadhana. Suppose you're doing for 10, 12 years of sadhana. A stage will come, whomsoever you are worshipping is going to put you through a test. और वो टेस्ट के लिए यू आर नॉट प्रिपेयर्ड, nobody can prepare you, no guru can prepare you, no disciple can prepare you. उस समय पे if your instincts are developed in sadhana, if your trust of the deity is very strong, you will either pass or you will not pass. If you pass, then you go straight up to very high level, and if not, that means that the karmas are aligned that way. It will take more time. So there is no harm in not passing tests, by the way. In spirituality, tests come, you may or may not pass. The important thing is to keep walking. As long as you keep trying, it's just a matter of time. समय लगेगा, लेकिन कभी ना कभी ज़रूर होगा. So there is no foolproof way of knowing a guru, but take for people generally looking for gurus outside also, for any guru, and that by that I don't mean just whether somebody wants a Vaishnava guru or a yogic guru or anything of that sort. Take time, go meet people, don't be in a hurry, spend time, observe them from a distance, if you develop discrimination, discrimination takes time. If you develop discrimination, you observe a person carefully. By looking at the Nimittas signs around, you will know that who has reached and who's, whether it gels with you or not. That is also important. There could be a great guru, but suppose it is not your karmic destiny to have a good learning or something to learn from that guru. फिर वहाँ जाके कोई फायदा भी नहीं होगा. You will not feel good and you will come out of that situation. So instead of going to 1 million gurus, it is better to wait. And this kind of a thing should be taken only seriously. So that's all I have to say about this guru topic.
Yes, thank you so much. And I will move away from the guru topic now and focus more on the devatas, right? How do I know who my Ishta Devata is, right? You've given almost 4 or 5 deities whom we can do the Anusthans for. We can do the Rajarshi Sadhanas through the KBUF Foundation. But how do I know who I need to pray to and who my Ishta Devata is?
A very simple one-word answer is that on day 1, you are unlikely to know who your Ishta Devata is. Okay, it's very difficult to know the Ishta Devata fully. I mean, I used to have this question and I used to ask one of my gurus, and he gave a very fantastic answer once. मेरे को भी ये डाउट होता था बहुत पहले, because obviously everybody has to go through the same rat. कोई magic नहीं है यहाँ पे. There's no magic at all in spirituality. It's a process. Whoever follows it sincerely, nature takes note and gives some results eventually. So I used to ask him and used to say, the day the deity will stand in full glory in front of you, फिर वो doubt नहीं रहेगा. उसके पहले ये question कभी नहीं जाएगा. You'll do some sadhana, you'll feel good. You'll do Y sadhana, you feel good. Some Z person comes and tells you, नहीं तुम इसको साधना करना है, तो you will feel all of them are Ishta Devata. Ishta Devata तब बनता है when the deity actually comes in front and darshan होता है. Darshan means not just seeing from the eyes, it's much deeper than normal seeing, and that causes a transformation. It's like an imprint will be placed in your soul, and then you know that you literally have one deity. That state when it comes, it's like almost, to give a very simplified example, for example in the Gita, when Arjuna sees that Vishwarupa, and he is amazed at that time. He's not, till now he used to think that he's just his relative and a very smart chap, and this. Suddenly he realizes to koi aur hi hai. That one moment changes everything. And what is the very next chapter? Then comes Bhakti Yoga. Because once you see who your Ishta is, Bhakti will automatically come out. Nobody can stop it, because then it is surrenderance. After that you can't do anything. There's no calculation. Nothing that you have learned is going to help you. You will be completely at the feet of the deity. Only then you know that Ishta Devata has come. Baki, is I like a deity. That is good. There is no harm in liking deities. So my advice is that at least for the people who are connected to, for example, KBUF, the Kamakabhairav, Kula and all that, keep doing the sadhanas for a few years. This will automatically emerge. The fact that you are drawn to doing the sadhana, if you're able to do it for 2-3 years, that means that you already have a contact with these deities from past lives. Otherwise, you will never be able to do it. It is impossible. I mean, a lot of people do Bhairava sadhanas, but a lot of people don't do also. India is a huge country. You have the karmic connection to that deity, then you will be able to do it. As simple as that. Or karmic connection, whoever will not have the karmic connection will not be able to continue. So, as you do, and the other beautiful part of sadhana is that the deities themselves open the path and take you. Ki kahan pe jana hai, who is the right deity. So, instead of spending an exorbitant amount of time shopping for deities, ye karta hu, thoda wo karta hu, once you stick to a path for 6 months to a year, continue that path for at least 3 years. The attitude should be that, let's see where it takes me. When I first started Bhairava Sadhana, I had never heard of the name of Bhairava uske pehle. I was given the Upadesham, and it's more than 20 years that I am doing it. Every day, whether it's a good day, whether it's a bad day, whether it's a rainy day, whether it's a sunny day, doesn't matter. It's a part of my system. Without that, I will not go. If I travel, then also I am doing. If I am at home, then also I am doing. If there is a good news, then also I am doing. If there is a bad news, then also I am doing. But initially when I started, I had no idea. And perhaps it was destined. I had very quick anubhutis, experiences. Some of the experiences initially little unnerved me, but then there was this thing, instinct, that nahi mujhe dekhna hai ki kya hota hai uske baad. So that, that kind of attitude enters into mind ki I will keep going. Let's see where this path takes me, and it has taken me here now. So, so basically the point is that instead of spending exorbitant amount of time finding who is the Istha Devata, start the sadhana, continue for 3 years, and have this faith that whosoever you are worshipping, if he or she is not your final deity, then they will take you to that deity. They are intelligent enough to do that. So you don't need to actually go searching for it too much here and there, but continuing the sadhana, discipline, patience, focus, and the ability to go the long distance. These are the key parameters which will determine success in sadhana.
So what I'm hearing, sir, is that yes, you need to continue to do the sadhana. So discipline is key.
Yes.
But you also need to learn to listen to your gut or to the voice, right? You may fail in the beginning, but you will get there someday, right?
Yes. There is no failure that is permanent. There's nothing called permanent failure. So there will be errors. Everybody makes mistakes. It's not a big deal. Get up, follow the paddhati. Do not tamper too much with the paddhati. That is the other thing. The basic paddhati has to be in sync. It has to that is where a mentorship is important. Even if not a direct guru, somebody has to tell you the paddhati, because you cannot. So how much of Tara Japa has to be done, what to be done. There are this 16 Thursday Mahatara Sadhana, which so many people have done, and I've seen over the last 1 year through my email they see. There are a bunch of people whom I give a little bit more advanced Upasana of Mahatara. तो उसमें न्यास वगैरह सब कुछ करना पड़ता है. That is needed. Then Matara Sadhana has certain aspects where once it reaches a certain depth, फिर उसमें again न्यास goes away. In fact, that is a very intense krama of Tara Upasana. When that is reached, which is really rare, then there's no other. There's no need for न्यास, no need for anything. There's no need for purity, impurity, nothing. It reaches a different state. But again, for the person who is starting, they cannot do that. So like this, the right paddhati you follow and have faith on the deity. That is the most important part. Once you have that, once you do that and keep doing that, it will open the path for you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. When you talk about Nitya Sadhana, the sadhanas that you've given, basically we also we include it in our Nitya Sadhana. Is there any basic order that we need to follow while doing Nitya Sadhana?
So it depends on among these devatas whom we worship. So these devatas were not selected randomly. There is a logic behind it, spiritual logic. So in that spiritual logic, only when the temples come up, it will be on that spiritual logic. So there is a central Bhairava, central Devi Swarup. Devi Swarup could be Tara, could be Kamakhya, could even be Ma Durga. It depends on the exact land where that space will come up. तो हर जगह का एनर्जी अलग होता है. Once I go there, once I meditate, I'll get the clarity that this particular temple should have this form of Devi. This form of Ma should be there, because without a Devi Swarup, it doesn't balance the energy. Ashta Bhairava is a protective layer. Skanda is a protective layer. So basically, in these sadhanas that you are doing, suppose your contact is strongest with Bhairava. You feel best when you are doing Bhairava Japa. So you start your sadhana with Bhairava Japa. Fir next you go to whatever other Nitya sadhanas you are doing. Before getting up, the last sadhana will also be of the Devata whom you like best. Say it is Bhairava, so last may you do a namaskara to Bhairava. Even if you don't do the full japa, you do 10 times. पहले आप जितना जप करना है, जो करना है, and plus we will be making documents. I am working on making documents for more puja paddhatis, which we will put out, so that for those who are interested in more elaborate pujas, they can use those documents and increase their sadhana, go into greater depths of sadhana. So sadhana, there are two parts to sadhana. One is that your japa is one part. The second part is doing puja of the deities. Puja एक अलग part होता है. Puja का there is a systematic way in which the puja of devatas happen. Devi के लिए तो specifically it's more complicated. But I have asked the team to prepare certain documents which I am going through. I hope that this year we'll be able to release that. Basic puja paddhatis of few devatas, how to do them, how to do homas and all that. So that you can take a printout and you'll be able to do it. It's not that complicated. If 10, 15, 20 days अगर आप practice करते हो तो कर पाएंगे. तो दो चीज़ होता है, एक होता है पूजा और दूसरी होता है कि योर जपा. These two are equally important. So final, before you get up from that asana, then also the deity whom you will worship, at least whom you will do namaskara, has to be the devata with whom you have the greatest contact. So there is the last deity whom I worship. So sometimes on days which I have time, kabhi kabhi my puja goes up to 4 hours, 5 hours also. But after that, before getting up from my asana, the last deity I will worship is some form of Devi whom I worship. So basically क्या होता है? It is an integrative process. Last deity whom you are worshipping, you will feel that his or her consciousness has become everything. In fact, Tantra Puja mein this is a very specific paddhati that is used. Traditional Tantra, when it is done, there are layers of Diksha. As you go into higher layers of Diksha, there are more Devis sadhanas who are added to it. In fact, at the lower layers, the sadhana is less. So there is one mantra of Devi that may be given to you. As you go into higher Dikshas, multiple mantras will be added to you. The Guru will only give it. I'm talking about traditional Tantra, not the lot of things that go on online in name of Tantra. I'm not judging or discussing that. But traditionally, the higher the Diksha, the greater is the number of Devis and the mantras and the Parivar Devatas that you will have to worship. So there is a whole krama of Parivara who comes in. Each of them have to be worshipped. So for an ordinary person, you might think that, so how do I link all of this together? Link यही होता है कि सब पूजा करने के बाद end में you are again worshipping namaskara to Devi you are doing, and in your heart you imagine that it is she who has become all this. It is she who is when doing Devi Upasana, she who has become Parivar Devata, she who has become Shiva, she who has become Ganpati, she has become everything, including the Upasaka himself or herself. So that brings a completeness to the sadhana. Same thing is done if Bhairava is your Istha Devata. You start with Bhairava. End last before getting out of the puja room, one more namaskara to Bhairava. Imagine that he is all these deities. He has become everything. Okay. So that's how you integrate the sadhana. In between, whatever order you want to choose, you can choose. There's no harm in aage piche ka kuch nahi hai. Whichever ones you like, but the one you like best, last mein one namaskara to him or her has to be done.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
When we're doing Nitya Sadhana, do we need to do the kavach first or the malas, and what order should we follow?
Again, the order is not that important. The consistency is important. So as you keep doing kavacham day after day after day, it builds the aura and it builds a protective shield around you. Even if you do japa first and then kavach first, that is fine. In certain kinds of japa, certain texts, they tell you कि kavach पहले करना पड़ता है. जैसे if you are doing Durga Saptashati part, then kavacham is to be done before. Okay, it's not that if you do it at the end, it's going to cause any negative impact or not. Remember that these texts, as I keep repeating, were written assuming the default that this is for the very super serious person, somebody who is 100% dedicated towards attaining the highest goal. So he has nothing else to worry about, no job, no this, that was not our modern living. So for them, the rules are also very strict. अनुष्ठान पुरुष्ठान का रूल बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट होता है वहाँ पे. जैसे कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई नो वन स्पेसिफिक इंस्टेंस. Somebody was doing sadhana in Tarapit under a very capable guru. So mantra sadhana was supposed to be done for a period of I think 10 or 11 days. The guru would literally lock the person in the room. There's one room, the guru had a room and an attached toilet was be there. 10 days, 11 days, he is not supposed to see the face of another person. The food would be cooked by a very specific person who has done upasana of that deity. Only food will be given to him. He will not be coming out of that room, staying there and doing whatever amount of japa has to be done. And the sankalpa is put like this, that say morning I will do 2 hours of japa, night I will do 2 or 3 hours of japa. And वैसे ही करना पड़ेगा, which means that if the sankalpa says that night 2 hours, someday you think that okay morning I'll just add a little bit more and night I'll cover it. No, जितना संकल्प में दिया गया वैसे हिसाब से चलना पड़ता है. When these type of sadhanas are done, then tremendous amount of experiences start coming to the upasaka. In that case, the kavach has to be done before. That is mandatory for the kavach to do before, because otherwise, even after kavach also, you may not be able to take it. I know this specific story that I am saying didn't end too well. 4th, 5th day, he had an experience of it. Oh, dar bhi gaya. But this is the very traditional, super traditional way of doing. But we don't need to do it that way. Nature has put us in cities, so we have to do office and do whatever else you have to do. Along with that, this is the way to do sadhana for now. If somebody is meant to do those, then nature will create arrangements for those. So generally, doing kavacha, whether before or after, will make no difference. What is going to make a difference is that if you consistently do it for 30-40 days, if you do at least 1,000 recitations of the kavacha once it is completed, then you know that it is fully active.
You spoke about city living and all the distractions that we have. We have a question which asks that I'm not able to concentrate while doing the japa. Man nahi lagta hai. So how do we deal with that?
There is no easy way to deal with this. So these are perennial questions for 2,000, 3,000 years of human existence. There's no easy way to bring concentration. But suppose concentration is a real problem. And it is a problem for a lot of people. One option is that before doing the japa, you do a very simple pranayama for 2-3 minutes. Or even if you don't do pranayama, just sit quietly and observe your breath going in and out. For 2-3 minutes, just do that. Or 5 minutes, do that, and then you do japa. There will be a little bit of increased concentration. But so concentration, the degree of concentration a person is able to experience is linked to purity inside mind and body, and the purity is linked to your karmic balance sheet. So if your karmic balance sheet is such that you will have to experience a lot of things, nature is never going to give you that degree of concentration. ये एक बार में मतलब एकदम मोक्ष क्रॉस करके निकल गया, इतना तो होने वाला नहीं है. Nature is an excellent accountant, the greatest accountant. एक पैसा का इधर से इधर नहीं होता नेचर का, एकदम फुल हिसाब nature will do. Nobody has been able to break this hisab. Nobody can. You just follow what is the path. And the greatest philosophy is to believe that at this specific moment in time, wherever you are in whatever condition, this is the optimum and the best condition. Iska thora bhi idhar udhar to it will only go worse from here. It cannot go better. Nature gives you what? Nature is not cruel. Nature is very kind actually. But depending on the karmas, it will put you at the position where, according to nature, this is the best situation, best deal you can get at the moment. So feeling glad about that also helps nature to recalibrate your destiny. Nature is not fixed in stone. Destiny is not fixed. But how you conduct, how you live, how you sadhana, jo bhi aap karte ho, this gets it's like a feedback loop. It gets into your karmic cycle, and then that also determines future mein kya hone wala hai. But yeah, concentration, there's no easy way. Observe your breathing for some time and pray that concentration comes eventually.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
When we are doing sadhana of a certain deity, is the concentration on a certain part of their body, like their feet, or people say you should visualize feet. What is the importance of that? And for which deity should we concentrate on which part of the body?
Okay, the second question is more complicated, but yes. again, linked to concentration, initial stage mein you concentrate on the Vigraha of the Devi. Say you are doing sadhana of Ma Tara. You are concentrating on the photo of Tara. Tarapit wala photo of Ma Tara. Don't do a Google search and find some random weird image and then put it there. Some people do that also. But just Ma Tara jo Tarapit wala, Tarapit ke jo Ma Tara hai, she is the kindest. Take that photo. That is very good, in my opinion. Initially, you are seeing everything. As your concentration increases, which means your karmas are getting cleared. As your karmas clear, your concentration will increase. Automatically purity increase hoga. Purity means concentration. The moment your purity is inside high, concentration automatically high ho jata hai. Usme no effort needs to be put. Then you will see that it is not her whole face, whole figure that you are able to see. For Devi specifically, her feet is most important. But it's a good idea to keep focus on our feet. However, if your purity is not high, your focus will not remain. You can try it yourself. After 10-15 minutes, 10-15 minutes to bahut lamba hai. After 5 minutes, the mind will go here and there. If somebody is able to keep, without even a mantra, I am saying this, without even any mantra, take the feet of Ma Tara, photo of that. You will find on the internet. Jo Ma ke charan hai, un pe bhi puja hota hai wahan pe. Abhishek, etc. is done on the feet of Ma Tara. Just take the photo and concentrate on the, not even the full feet. As your concentration increases, you will see that you will only be able to see the tip of the biggest toe. Sirf itna hi dikhega. Then your sadhana is going very deep. And if that concentration is maintained for 15-20 minutes at least every day for a few months, your door is going to open like anything to the higher realms. But it will not happen because the karmas are such that your mind will waver here and there. It is natural for everybody. So far as whenever any Devi sadhana is done, at least Ma Tara, Ma Durga, in dono ka jo Vishesh sadhana hai, whenever you can do, Ma Durga photos are all good, no problem with that. Ma Tara, if you really want to concentrate on one specific place, then concentrate on her feet. Feet is the best place to concentrate specifically for any Devi sadhana. And other places also have their meaning, but that goes higher. So when one has to concentrate on the astra, when one has to concentrate on the, she also holds a blue lotus. When you have to concentrate on the blue lotus, when you have to concentrate on the khappar that she carries, iska har ek alag meaning hai. But the safest and the easiest nahi, best thing to do is to focus on her feet. For Bhairava, it is a little different. So for Bhairava, initial stages, this best concentration. So when I am saying this, I am saying with the idea that these videos or these communication that I am doing will be seen by a lot of people, not just the people here, because that's why we are recording it. So which is why I try to keep in mind and give something that is suitable for large number of people. The best thing to do with Bhairava is that you can keep a photo of the Kaal Bhairava of Kashi. He's very benign in some, he's Bhairava, but there's a compassion and benignness in him for upasakas. He's kind, he's compassionate also. And you imagine that there is a Bhairava made of light sitting in your heart. And you can concentrate on that. There are specific places in Bhairava iconography. Once you concentrate on that, it will, because Bhairava is a very Jagrit Devata in this age. He's very awakened. So if you start concentrating, he will show his presence. But again, since it is going to be seen by a lot of people, there are people who may not have done that amount of japa. So for them, it could cause a certain degree of, how would I put it, fear or certain disturbance. There are places in the Bhairava iconography, if you start concentrating, then, for example, Bhairava Ganas of the Smashan Dehi start coming. There are places where if you start concentrating, not on day one, it takes about 5-6 months regularly, your intuition is going to develop like crazy. But these require some more guidance. My idea is that the reason you are doing this sadhana is for overall spiritual growth, not for A specific effect, B specific effect. For that, the best thing is imagine that Bhairava is placed in your heart. Concentrate on that. That is the best way to go spiritually. It's like a comprehensive thing. Regardless of whatever defects the upasaka may have, it will still take the upasaka to the highest ranges. If you can concentrate, feel that Bhairava is present in your heart in the form of an eternal light. Mantra and all that will be same. See, the Devata is the mantra. Not only the Vigraha. Do not think that only a Vigraha is Devata. Vigraha to agar Pran Pratishta nahi hai, then it is just a Vigraha, artistic thing. It is the energy of the deity that is more important. A deity can take form and it can be Nirakar also. Bhairava is Nirakar. The best meditations of Bhairava has no form. In fact, if you read the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra, which is a list of meditations, you will see that it's a state of being. Ultimately, Bhairava is the substratum where everything is over. All the changes in life, all the changes, duality gets over. Whatever is left. Almost like the self that is spoken of in Vedanta. Bhairava is something like that. At the end, the substratum that is left. So for Bhairava, the best meditation is to imagine him in the heart in the form of a light. For Devi, you can imagine the feet of Devi. Similarly, for Kartikeya also there are different imaginations, different visualizations. Generally also for a deity like Kartikeya, to imagine any of the Vighrahas of Kartikeya that you like is good enough. Or you can imagine him placed in your heart, that is good enough. But for the sake of completion, even in Skandha Upasana, Kartika Upasana, there are specific places in his iconography, if you imagine, it activates his astra. And you will see the effects of the astra around in your life and around you, like that. So, feet is the safest and the best. Overall spiritual growth.
We already have, people in the houses already have Vighrahas, right, which are not Pran Pratishthapana.
Yeah.
They have been given through generations and generations, but they've been there. There's no Pran Pratishthapana done. So what do we do with such Vighrahas? And do we continue to keep it in the altar, or do we have to do something special for them?
So first thing is that when you have a Vigraha, so my opinion is that normally Vigraha Upasana is more complicated क्योंकि सेवा करना पड़ता है विग्रह को, and depending on the size of the Vigraha, more seva will be required. In fact, last year I was meeting some of the sculptors who are doing Vigrahas because I will be needing them for the temples that are there, and I was talking to them, and some excellent people are there across India who do this. But as the Vigraha size increases, the amount of prana and seva that is required increases along with it. So it's like a science almost. So randomly it doesn't work that way. Otherwise what happens is you keep a large Vigraha, suppose, and you are not able to do the seva, it is going to cause interference in your sadhana along with the people in that space, say maybe house or whatever else. And specifically if people have weak minds, those who are certain combinations or graha combinations, Vigrahas will interfere with them. And that is why it is important to do the Pran Pratishta. Now coming to a Vigraha that has been there in the house for centuries, even if Pran Pratishta is not there, some bhakti bhav se kuch puja hota hoga, jo bhi hai, even offering of some naivedya, bhog, etc. is there. If it has passed down through many years and centuries, some energy is already there in the Vigraha. Okay, it is also possible. Even if Pran Pratishta is not there. So those type of Vigrahas, if they have been passed down, either you do seva of the Vigraha or you give it off to some temple who can take care of the Vigraha. That is the easiest way and the best way. And number two is that don't collect too many Vigrahas. Focus more on the Japa. I prefer people to do Japa is the best thing. Number one, Japa and certain puja paddhatis, for example, simple puja paddhatis. Jaise, I recommend more of the Ghatastapana. Ghatastapana is the temporary arrangement. You are doing the puja gets over, and then you do Visarjana of the Ghata, right? So this is an easier way in my opinion. Vigraha requires that amount of seva and that amount of responsibility to be done. Number one, the other option is for yantras, but yantra is again the same question, that how will you find the right yantra? Yantra puja, I had made one video on the yantras. In case if you don't have a yantra, you can actually do sadhana by drawing yantras and doing Visarjana of them eventually. That is also a valid method. So yes, if you have a Vigraha that has been passed down and that is energized, either you do seva of the Vigraha or you give it to somebody who can do seva, or you give it to a temple, or last option, if nothing can be done, you have to do Visarjana of the Vigraha in a flowing water.
And this is the same for yantras that are inherited, right?
Yantra inherited though is rare, but if somebody has been inheriting a yantra, that is assume that the earlier generation knew how to worship the yantra. So some puja paddhati will be there, and yantras inherited, yeah, again same principle, but see, it all depends on the yantra. Depends on what type of yantra, what is it made of, how much power the yantra contains. Most smaller yantras that are available today simply do not have the power to carry on the energy from one generation to another. But suppose there is a fantastic yantra made, vishesh with specific materials. For example, gold ka hona chahiye, correct amount of precious stones are added into it, the right nakshatra, etc. is done, and regular seva of the yantra. Yantra का पूजा होता है. Yantra is as good as having the Devi or Devata, जिनका भी yantra है. If the yantra is there, if a large yantra is there, full puja has to be done on the yantra. And it has been going on for say 10, 20, 30 years in the home. Then it has become, that's as good as having the deity there. You cannot mess around with that so easily. Either you have to continue the puja, or you give it off to somebody who can continue the puja, or you give it off to a temple. Last option is do Visarjan of the yantra. Same.
We've covered quite a few topics today. Yeah. There's just one topic that's left, after which I will open the questions out to everybody. After starting the sadhana, right? These sadhanas that you've given, not everybody follows them, but the people who do follow them, there are questions that if my family is not supportive, right? How do I deal with that? Not only are they not supportive, but they make it difficult for the sadhana to be done. They don't give space for the sadhana to be done. So how do we manage in that case?
So there is again no easy answer for this, but I would suggest that whatever is possible for you to do in the current circumstances, do that, and pray to the deity whose sadhana you are doing to help you out in this circumstance. There is no other easy way out of this. There's absolutely no way. So do the sadhanas to whatever degree it's possible for you, and pray to the deity. If it's Bhairava, if it's Tara, you pray to her and tell her that you are not able to do this. Please make an arrangement. I have seen 1-2 cases like this where miraculously, in one instance, individual had the same issue, but then it happened that the individual suddenly got a job in a different city and was very eager to take that job. It was a very, the conditions of the job were so proper that there's nobody who could say anything. So took the job and now doing the sadhana and all that, everything. So these things also are possible. It's not a guarantee, but again, there's no easy way out of this. Best option is to daily pray to the deity. Don't pray for negatives, but say that I want to do your sadhana more. Please make such an arrangement so that I can do it properly, and at least the environment around gets better and there is support. Remember this thing, prayer is a very powerful tool. What happens is often we do a lot of japa, 1-2 ghanta jap karke, we forget doing the prayer part. Prayer is equally important. You have to tell. So if you don't pray, then it's fine, jap karo, maza hai. He is also very happy, but it's good to tell. See, prayer aisa cheez hai, you can ask for anything and he can deny everything. So there is no compulsion from either side. That is how it works. Okay, this understanding is there. So, but pray. If it is a genuine thing, for example, this case, just whatever the specific individual who might be facing this, it's good to pray and tell the deities that I am facing this issue. Can you help me out in a way that I can do your sadhana more? And then in time, there is a good chance that they may be kind and some arrangement can come out.
In case of children or family members who don't believe, right? The japa that we do on behalf of them, or the malas that we do on behalf of them, how effective are they, and is it okay to do that? Yes,
you can do that. If specifically people with whom you have very strong blood relation means you are sharing deep karma with those people, you can do do japa or puja in their name, no problem. But remember that whenever you are doing any kind of japa, puja, prayer for anybody else, you will have to partake a bit of their karmas. There is no escape from this. It is first rule. I told you, nature is the accountant. Nature किसी को छोड़ता नहीं है. Nature can spare that individual, but some amount of karma will come. So basically, when you are doing a japa, when you are doing a pariharam, or if you are engaging a priest to do japa for somebody, I mean, suppose somebody has a health issue, very natural and common thing is to get a priest to do a Mrityunjaya Homa, etc. The whole idea is by doing that sadhana, they're creating a power. That energy is going to reduce the karmas of that individual and bring some relief. So when you are doing japa for a person, you are also doing the same thing to a degree. Now, that very traditional way, when a pariharam of somebody else is being done, two things happen. One is that you will see that in most cases, the average priest has very little concentration. That is also a protective thing. So he is not psychologically, emotionally connected to it that much. On your case, you may be more deeply connected for whom you are doing the sadhana. So karmas will surely come. To get out of that, so no harm in doing that, first of all. But remember that do not take things emotionally. You have to have a part of you that steps back and sees that are you capable of handling that full karma. Because often in states of emotion, people, I have seen many cases like this. Somebody has a disease, somebody has a problem, they keep praying कि नहीं वो मेरे पास आ जाए फिर आ गया तो फिर that's another problem. But you have to have that understanding like that. Number two, if to balance these things out, it is important to do 2-3 things. One is specifically to these collective sadhanas, whether there's annadanams, these things, and the third thing is whenever possible, taking bath in holy rivers. That also reduces karmas. On specific tithis actually, Sankranti, Purnima, Amavasya, they help to remove karmas regularly when done. Okay.
And on that note, we've noticed that as Kamakhya Bhairava Upasak Foundation, there are a lot of Annadanams that are happening, Gaushalas,
Yes.
Shwan Seva. What is the importance of that and why has it suddenly become so important?
It is very important because it helps to balance the sadhanas that are being done. All the energy that you are generating. So, the Shastras mention 2 things. First is that, you will do the sadhana. Sadhana will have japa, homa, stuti, jo bhi hai, etc. Along with that, there are it mentions this that it is possible to skip things like homa. Just japa is a fundamental part of sadhana. Reading a stuti of a devi or devata is a fundamental part of sadhana. Homa, tarpan, marjan are also parts of sadhana, but they can be replaced by japa. If you are not doing japa, if you are not able to do homa, you can do double the amount of japa. It will produce a similar result. But feeding is important. Why? That is because every time you feed people, it reduces any errors that you might have done knowingly, unknowingly. कहीं पे कुछ गलती हो गया, तो that thing is taken care of. In this Kali Yuga Danam, giving dan, उसमें से अन्नदान specifically, is a miraculous thing for a lot of problems. Whether it's graha doshas, mantra में कहीं गलती हो गया, some mistake has happened in the japa, even unknowingly also mistakes can happen. All that effect of it is lot reduced when people engage in practices like Annadanam, which is why I keep stressing the Annadanams that are done. Apart from the fact that it is a sadhana itself. Means if you do the correct amount of japa, sadhana, and then you go to do the Annadanam, suppose, at that time you have to feel and you will believe that it is the Devi or Devata jinka aap sadhana karo, they will come and have that food. And they will come through people. You will not even know who it is. Who among the people has that energy? I have seen that happening in front of me also, multiple times. In Tarapit I have seen that while doing japa, while doing Annadanam, suddenly there's somebody comes. I remember the last time I was doing this lady with a jata suddenly comes and asks for a specific particular thing among the food that I was giving, and I give it to her, and then she says that no, it's not for my eating, it's to offer to her. Okay, and then after some time she's gone from there. Many times I have seen that in charged places, but charged place nahi, kahin pe bhi aap karo. If your sadhana is correct, imagine that the Devi or the Devata will come and take that food from you. They don't need to come and manifest like that. They can come through the body of any individual and consume that food. And that automatically brings you blessings. Which is why I keep stressing on the Annadan so much.
How important is having an experience while doing sadhana? If I don't have an experience, does it mean that my sadhana is not going well?
No, if you don't have an experience, you are safe.
Okay.
In my opinion. So initially, everybody likes experiences. बट एक्सपीरियंस का यही चक्कर है कि भाई एक्सपीरियंस इटसेल्फ कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. I'll tell you this, I have seen people having experiences of all 33 करोड़ देवी देवता. After that, 10 years later, वो जहाँ थे वहीं पे खड़े हैं. कुछ एक 1 inch also they have not progressed. Which is why when I say, you will, if you notice carefully, whenever somebody asks me this, whether it's here, whether it's any other interview, any podcast, anywhere, what is it that is important in sadhana, I will never mention experiences. Discipline, consistency, commitment. ये तीन जिसका है वो 100%. Even if you don't have I told you 12-year timeline, right? In 12 years, even if you don't have a single experience, my guarantee 12 years के बाद सब everything, your progress is guaranteed. My nature's guarantee is there. But as it is, experiences will naturally come to a person after some period of time. Processing the experience correctly is much tougher than having the experience. Understand what the experience is. Is it relevant? Is it irrelevant? Judging experience is a very complicated thing. Most people may not be able to do it correctly, and people may overjudge because we have a very positive frame of mind. तो लग रहा है कि कुछ ना कुछ तो हो ही रहा है, some nice things are happening, etc. May not be that nice. तो anyway, the experience as a whole, it's good, but don't get attached to experiences. What you should be attached to is your disciplined sadhana, because that is the only thing that will take you forward. Experiences is like signposts on the road. It's very good to see the signpost. That means you are going in the right direction. But just standing and seeing the signpost is not going to take you forward. What is going to take you is your daily sadhana. So that's all I will say about experiences.
Thank you so much for patiently answering all the questions. We will now quickly take a 1 minute break. Yeah.
Fine.
And we'll resume.
Hello. Yeah. So like I have a guru.
Okay.
I was given the anugrah in 90s.
Okay.
I do that sadhana, and it's totally related to Vedas. So like it is Om Ram Krishna Hari. And how do I do this sadhana along with?
So where is the? So first of all,
now I do my Guru's sadhana first, and then I do the Kal Bhairava Jap and Kal Bhairava Jap, and then I finish it.
yeah.
So like, is it the right way or?
This is the right way. There is no problem in that. As long as there is no conflict in your head, means you do not feel conflicted कि मैं ये भी कर रहा हूँ वो भी कर रहा हूँ. If you are fine with it, it is absolutely fine. None of the mantras are going to clash. कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. Absolutely fine. In fact, there are certain mantras of Vishnu that I do almost every day. Even though I do Tara and all that, and not just Tara, I do a more intense upasana of Ma Tara with certain special offerings and all that. But it's all in the head. If your mind is clear, no issues. But if your mind feels conflicted, then you have to think, because this is a question more than anybody else, it's for you to decide कि आप कर पाएंगे कि नहीं कर पाएंगे. आपको ठीक लग रहा है, आपको अगर, if you are not facing an issue, no problem with that. Okay? Yeah. Next question.
I'm asking you a question. You won't remember that, but I'll remember it for the rest of my life. So basically, I'm talking about something very sad that happened. So 2 years of unbroken sadhana. Well, like 2 years, the last day, I was actually at Ma Tara's feet in Tarapeeth.
Okay.
I actually got to do Abhishek. But 4-5 days later, I had to miss 5 days of sadhana after 2 years unbroken. And I've started again. But there was no way. I was not in a mental state to do it at all. So Jupiter is not going to wait for me, obviously. So is it back to square one for me or not?
No, it is not back to square one. It is absolutely not back to square one. So when I say 12 years unbroken, it is, as I told you right at the beginning, it is not that simple to do 12 years unbroken. It is for a person for whom it is almost destined that in this life he is, say, at the very end of his journey almost. He's already done sadhanas in past life, major karmas are done. वो ही व्यक्ति 12 साल unbroken कर पाएगा. बाकी सब कहीं ना कहीं there's some stoppage that will happen. However, it does not mean that you are back to zero. Whatever sadhanas you have done, whatever you have experienced, those are stored somewhere. It just means that at that moment the karmic lineup is such that, say, if that had not broken, suppose you had done 3 years, maybe you would have, the way you are going, you would have reached here. What is going to happen is you will reach a little lower. But trust nature that whatever nature does is for your good. And many years ago, 15 years ago, I was doing a very intense Mata Anusthan, and I had a lot of powerful experiences at that time. And I met a guru-like figure, not my personal guru, but somebody who was very advanced and had a lot of abilities, and he guided me very kindly at that time. So he made a very interesting statement. He said that your state has reached XYZ, and but your karmas are not finished. So she is going to pull you down. Wait for it. Within a few months, something happened that the rhythm of sadhana that I was going had a jolt. I had to come back. I had to reduce the intensity of the sadhana to process certain things happening around me. But that's fine. That is fine. Absolutely fine. There's no... Nature takes you at the right speed for a person. उससे ज़्यादा भी नहीं जाना, उससे कम भी नहीं जाना है. Have that mindset towards nature, towards life, and along with it, even if you have stopped, start again. Start again. That is the only thing. Somebody who, that's why I say consistency and persistence जिसमें है वो कभी ना कभी तो पहुंचेगा ही. That is far more important than experiences, because experiences are double-sided coins. अच्छा भी experience है, बुरा भी experience. Everything is an experience at the end of the day. Until the final state is reached where you enter into communion with the Devi or Devata, and your soul experiences that, then that is a final experience. Before that, every experience is going to pass. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. So, not to worry. Just carry on. Okay?
Thank you.
Question is about my Kula Devata. My Kula Devata is Jyotiba. I wanted to ask you whether Jyotiba is somehow related to Bhairava. And another question is related to my Nitya Upasana. I have been doing Batuk Bhairav Naam Mantra and Kamakya Sutram for 2+ years. And
Okay.
I also do the Vishesh Sadhanas that you give out through YouTube for Navratris and all. So I wanted to know whether there is any, upadesh that you can give in order to progress in my Nitya Sadhana.
Yes. So, first question answer I cannot say with certainty. I need to think and I need to see. So, where is the temple? Kula. I have not been there. So, my answer would be more speculative. I need to see the pictures and contemplate before I can say one way or the other. So, I'll avoid that question. But anyway, if you know, so Kula Devata का और एक चीज़ होता है. Kula Devata is not just a deity, but more specifically connected to temples. You will see. जैसे you have this temple, there may be somebody who has a Kula Devata in some other temple somewhere else. So if you know that specific place of the Kula Devata or Kula Devi जहाँ पे है, it's good to visit at least once a year with some offerings, depending on the deity, depending on मंदिर का जो पद्धति है, whatever is practiced, little bit of puja part at least once a year is good, because Kula Devata protects the whole family. First, number one. Number two is for Ma Kamakhya Stuti. If you have been doing that, is very good. Soon I will be there will be another video I will be putting out, which the team is working on, which are certain sadhanas that are coming for the Navratri that is coming. Okay, and as I mentioned, there are going to be documents I will be creating this year, more elaborate documents for Upasana of Ma Kamakhya, Tara, Durga, etc. Like I think for Ma Durga, we had created a document during one of the Navratris. It's there already, right? So these we will be putting up. The next stage of sadhana after mantra japa is knowing how to do puja of the deity. Puja is also very important. क्या पद्धति है, परिवार देवता कौन है, किसको माने what offerings to be given, what are the things, basic puja paddhati, because puja paddhati itself again is a complicated process, can become very intense also. So tantrokta puja happens in a certain manner. उनके लिए सिर्फ दीक्षा नहीं, दीक्षा is the first step, then shiksha, learning has to be there. In fact, in very complicated pujas, there are certain offerings that have to be given to Devi. इसको कहते हैं अर्घ. वो where it is kept, how it is kept, everything is measured in that way. It's not random. But even if you don't go that far, knowing a basic puja paddhati which is within the broader guidelines जो practice होता है, which is effective, which can be done by an individual, is very good. So next step is actually that. And wait for it when the documents come out. Start integrating that puja. Even if you can't do every day, If you can do every day, very good. If you can't do every day, on Vishesh Tithis. So, Devi Upasana, Devata Upasana is like this. The reason I mention that we do the Vishesh sadhanas is because those tithis become important. You have to reach Bhairava, you have to pay attention to Ashtamis. You have to reach Ma Tara, you have to pay attention to the tithis that where she becomes activated. Like this. If you have to reach Skanda, then Shashti. So, ye tithis are very important. There, slowly your sadhana has to increase. For example, say Bhairava, that's why I say that Bhairava in this year we need to do more of Bhairava in terms of the Vishesh sadhanas. So adding anything you add to that on that tithi, which means say we are adding fasting on that tithi, that also counts. We are lighting a diya, that also counts. We are lighting 8 diyas or 8 wicks in 2 diyas, that also counts. So important ये होता है कि एक आपका नित्य साधना चल रहा है माँ कामाख्या का, और विशेष तिथिज में और विशेष नवरात्रि में what extra are you doing, because those will count in your sadhana and accordingly the deity will give your result and give her blessings. This is how it goes. So that is why as one goes deeper, my sadhanas at home very often go to 4-5 hours or sometimes more. What is it that happens in 4-5 hours? Because it's not that I'm worshipping a new deity. Same Devi. लेकिन जिस दिन मुझे कहीं जाना है, I may wrap up the puja in half an hour. But some days when I have time, and I plan it accordingly, I may sit for 4-5-6 hours. I'm not worshipping a new deity, I'm not worshipping a new mantra. Same thing, but more elaborately. Say you are doing Kamakhya Stuti. Take a photo of Ma Kamakhya. This is simple, just what is coming in my head, I'm telling you. Keep a red piece of cloth, Ma Kamakhya ka photo rakhiye, 1 diya, 1 agarbatti. Take sindur, kumkum. Sindur, और वो वाला जो देवी को दिया जाता है, not the हनुमान जी वाला ये, that one. And just keep doing archana with it. Every sloka, every line you chant, you put some sindur like that. Do it for 9 times, 10 times. Just then the day you are free, do it for 27 times. You'll see the energy, how it changes quickly. And then that kumkum can be used for various purposes. You can keep it somewhere. किसी काम के लिए आप जा रहे हो, you tie it in a piece of paper and keep it with you and go. You'll see. So like this. So same deities, same cheese. But how far you can go, how deep can you go? That is how you increase your sadhana and make it richer and more powerful.
What we should do from a Nitya Upasana perspective?
At 12 you should go to sleep. You should not do any sadhana. But if you have to do anything, then you start before 12. So whatever you have started in terms, see, if one day you start at 12, ek din, do din aapne kar liya, that's not a big deal. But if you keep doing every day at 12, and that goes on for a few months, you will start seeing effects that you may not be able to handle. Specifically, if there are weaknesses in the chart, that is the time, 12 o'clock till 2:30 is the time, which is all sorts of entities are most active. So if you are daily doing sadhana there, your sadhana is creating an energy. Energy is prana. They feed on prana. Everybody feeds on prana. Whole world feeds on prana. You are giving to the Devis, Devatas, theek hai, but the Parivaras are also there. So you may end up attracting something that you don't like, don't want coming near you. एक दिन में नहीं होगा ये चीज, unless the house where you are living already has something present. वो तो अलग बात हो गया फिर. My idea is start. What I have seen is that whenever you have to do later night sadhana, start before 12, 11, 11:30 कोई दिक्कत नहीं. If that extends to 12, that is fine. But don't start after 12. Timing is most important. See, in Jyotisha, it is the exact time that is required, right? उसका 5 मिनट 10 मिनट आगे पीछे करके नहीं होता है. So exact timing is very important. Start before 12. There is only one condition where post 12 can be done. That is in certain higher tantric sandhyas. जैसे वैदिक संध्या 3 होता है, तंत्र में 4 संध्या भी होता है. In some cases in later state, तुरीय संध्या, midnight में संध्या किया जाता है. ठीक है, देवी का वो initially नहीं होता है. And that is a very that's part of the रहस्य पूजा. It's not done in public. That is only who can do it, who should do it. So there are restrictions followed at that time also. But basic idea is that avoid starting post 12. Start before 12. ठीक है? Yeah. Next question.
मेरे पास 2 क्वेश्चंस है. एक, सबसे पहले आप हमेशा कंसिस्टेंसी पे बहुत इम्पोर्टेंस देते हो कि कंसिस्टेंसी हमेशा रहना चाहिए. सपोज हमको मतलब 3 साल तक अनब्रेकेबल हमारे साधनास को या जो नित्य उपासना को कंटिन्यू करना है, सुतक काल के टाइम पे सपोज समवन फ्रॉम अ फैमिली ब्लड रिलेशन में किसी का डेथ हो गया, तो उस टाइम पे वो ब्रेक करे.
सूतक का 2 नियम है. ट्रेडिशनल रूल आई टेल यू. सूतक हैज 2 रूल्स. ठीक है, एक है कि जब नॉर्मल उपासना आपका चल रहा है, इफ यू हैव टेकन अ संकल्प ऑफ एन अनुष्ठान कि अनुष्ठान मुझे करना है, तब सूतक में भी कंटिन्यू करना पड़ेगा. दैट इज द रूल.
ओके.
नंबर 2, इफ यू हैव दीक्षा, सर्टन स्पेसिफिक टाइप्स ऑफ दीक्षा जिसके पास रहता है, वो दैट इज द ओरिजिनल तांत्रिक दीक्षा जो होता है, जिनके पास रहता है, देर द इष्ट देवी जो है, जिनके मंत्र से आपको दीक्षा दिया गया, महाविद्या मंत्र से जब दीक्षा होता है, वो रुकना नहीं चाहिए, कभी नहीं रुकेगा. कोई भी सूतक के लिए कुछ भी हो जाए, एज लॉन्ग एज यू आर अलाइव इट हैज टू बी डन. ये दूसरा नियम है. Practically, coming to the practicality of the thing is that obviously if you do any sadhana at that time, so does it cause any harm? No. If you are fit to do the sadhana, if your mind is clear that okay you can do the sadhana, तो साधना करना है. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये है कि there are other people also will say कि अरे आप सूतक में साधना कर रहे हो, ये कर. That management you have to do. I know people who who had asked me this question, somebody, a guide, asked me this question, so I told that person कि can you do the sadhana or are you disturbed? If you're disturbed then मत करो. लेकिन the person was okay, नहीं मैं कर पाऊंगा. तो I said okay, do it, but do it in a way that there is no conflict. ऐसा नहीं सुबह उठ के एकदम पूरा कुरुक्षेत्र सबके साथ में जो करना है, हाँ जी मुझे सिद्धि प्राप्त करना है, ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है. तो the person did it in a way inside his room quickly, जब कोई नहीं था, मिनिमम करके मिनिमम करना है, ठीक है. So that is the way to deal with sutak. That is the sutak related to death, ठीक है.
और सॉरी, सेकेंड और एक क्वेश्चन सर, कि जो एंगर हम जब भैरव बाबा साधना करेंगे, जो एंगर जो हम फील करते हैं, तो इट इज़ लाइक अ स्पार्क, मतलब एक लाइटनिंग के स्पीड में आता है. जैसे हमारा नेचर वैसा था ही नहीं पहले, पर सम केसेस, सम इंसिडेंट पे वो स्पार्क हो जाता है. तो उस समय पे हम ऐसा पर्सनली फील करते हैं कि जितना एनर्जी हम लोग ने एक्यूमुलेट किया वो लूज़ हो रहा है, और अगेन हमको वापस करके फिर से वो प्रोसेस में, तो फिर वो स्पार्क की वजह से फिर से लूज़ होगा, फिर से हमको करना पड़ेगा, तो वो रोटेशन में ही घूमते रहेंगे. तो उसके लिए कुछ ऐसा हम
नहीं. सो देयर आर 2 थिंग्स. ये एंगर क्यों आ रहा है, इसको एक तरह से माना जाए तो ये है राइटियस एंगर. राइटियस एंगर मीन्स नॉट जस्ट भैरवा, जहां पे गलती दिखेगा देन द एंगर विल स्पार्क अप. अच्छा, भैरवा जो दिव्य डिवाइन एंगर जिसको कहते हैं ना, जो भैरव से, बाबा से जो एंगर आता है किसी में, उसका नेचर ये होता है कि इट विल स्पार्क अप वेरी क्विकली, और फिर वो नीचे भी चला जाएगा. लेकिन जो एंगर आप मन में लेके चलते हो कि अरे उसने मेरे को ऐसे बोल दिया, वैसे कर दिया 10 दिन, वो आपका है. वो उसका बिल किसी और के नाम पे मत फाड़ो, ठीक है, वो खुद आपका है, उसको आपको ही डील करना है. तो whenever it is this type of an anger, it shoots up and you will lose energy. Don't worry, anger ना हो, और 10 तरीके हैं एनर्जी लूज करने का. Because as I told you, nature is very 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 good accountant. नेचर को पता, इसके पहले इसको देना नहीं है, तो कितना भी जब कर लो, हाँ अगर जब छोड़ दो तो और पीछे लाइन में भेज देगा, एकदम बैक टू द स्टार्ट, ठीक है. सो द बेस्ट वे टू डील विथ दीज थिंग्स इज टू टेल द deity कि फर्स्ट थिंग इज दैट कंट्रोल द एंगर, टू हेल्प यू टू कंट्रोल द एंगर. एक दूसरा चीज़ है कि साथ में देवी उपासना भी आपको करना है, जो विच इज़ वॉट आई टेल पीपल टू डू. सो इफ यू आर डूइंग माँ कामाख्या साधना, माँ कामाख्या उपासना, it creates a very different type of feeling. Anger will not be there. It is a very blissful feeling. Once her energy activates, it's इतना शक्ति है कि इवन द गॉड्स आर मेस्पराइज्ड बाय हर. मैंने लोग तो यहाँ पे इसके ऊपर वशीकरण कर दे, उसके ऊपर कर दे, शी इवन द डेटीज आर सम्मोहित बिकॉज ऑफ हर पावर. शी क्रिएट्स दैट बैलेंस. ये दोनों ही इंपॉर्टेंट है विशेष साधना में. दैट इज वाई इट इज डिजाइन दैट वे. देवी साधना भी है, भैरव साधना भी है, स्कंदोपासना भी. दैट मेक्स अ कंप्लीट पिक्चर. और बेस्ट ऑप्शन इज टू आस्क द डेटी. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल गिल्ट के अंदर नहीं आने का है कि मैं एंगर हो गया, मेरा ये हो गया, नहीं. इट्स अ प्रोसेस, यू कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग अबाउट. बेस्ट इज बी वेयर ऑफ योर सेल्फ कि जब एंगर आ रहा है. दूसरी बात है टू टेल टू द देवी और देवता होम यू आर वर्शिपिंग कि प्लीज हेल्प मी कंट्रोल दिस. दैट इज द ओनली वे आउट. ठीक है.
So my question is that you said that to find a guru you need to meet people, and so what to ask them and how to know that if they are saying something that this is the process of diksha. So what
you will not know. There is no easy way out of this. Only way is you have to observe carefully. Never hurry into these things. When one very great upasak I know who had helped me, very advanced upasak, देवी उपासक, उन्होंने काफ़ी मुझे हेल्प भी किया था, गाइड भी किया था एक समय पे. सी गुरु इज़ नॉट, एक तो आपका दीक्षा गुरु है, बट इफ़ यू आर वेरी गुड, इफ़ यू आर ओपन माइंडेड एंड ओपन हार्टेड, गाइडेंस विल कम थ्रू नेचर. सी भगवान दत्तात्रेय उनके जो गुरु थे, व्हाट इज द लेसन दैट वी लर्न? इफ यू आर ओपन यू कैन लर्न फ्रॉम एनीथिंग, एंड इफ यू आर क्लोज्ड यू कैन लर्न, यू विल नॉट इवन लर्न फ्रॉम योर गुरु. तो पहला चीज़ है, डू नॉट बी इन अ हरी, ऑब्जर्व केयरफुली, ऑब्जर्व द पर्सन, ऑब्जर्व द पीपल अराउंड द पर्सन, ऑब्जर्व कि हाउ डू यू फील अबाउट इट, व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस, ये इज इट. और दूसरा चीज़ देखना ज़रूरी होता है, स्पेसिफिकली इफ समबडी इज इंटरेस्टेड इन तंत्र दीक्षा, 3 generations ऑफ गुरुज यू शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ. सिर्फ एक जन का नहीं, ऐसा नहीं स्वयंभू पैदा हो गया मैं गुरु, ऐसा नहीं. उसके कुछ गुरु रहेंगे, कहीं से तो आया नॉलेज, उनका भी एक गुरु रहेगा, उनका भी एक गुरु रहेगा. 3 generations ऑफ गुरुज are they authentic gurus? Authentic means they have done those sadhanas. I am not saying that they have to attain siddhi or anything, but there is an unbroken transmission of power. ऐसा ना हो कि मैं तंत्र दीक्षा किसी से लिया, because तंत्र के क्वेश्चन आते हैं, lot of questions on तंत्र come specifically, that's why I'm mentioning. किसी ने माँ काली का दीक्षा दिया, उनके जो गुरु है is to worship कृष्ण, उनके गुरु गणपति, फिर तो तुम्हारा क्या ही आ रहा है, ठीक है? ऐसा नहीं है. That is why this tradition is important. It is not necessary that the gurus have to be great, मतलब आसमान में levitating in the air, ऐसा नहीं. Normal human beings, but they have done the sadhanas in the paddhati. Automatically it has created an energy. That energy passes to you. ये है step 1. और दूसरा चीज़ है, just having the guru is not enough. Just guru से ही सिद्धि नहीं मिलेगा. You lot of hard. This is the age that we live in, where personal hard work is most important. There is no perfect guru who can take you magically into that state. That is unlikely to happen. So you, after the diksha, if at all anybody takes a guru diksha, then you have to know what sadhana to do. ऐसे दीक्षा लेके फिर गुरु अपने तरीके से तुम कहीं दूसरे जगह पे, तो दीक्षा का कोई मतलब ही नहीं है. It's a waste of diksha. So guru not only gives you diksha, he gives you the path. That is why you have to first judge that is this the right path, is this what you do. You have to know कि उसके बाद क्या हो रहा है. दीक्षा तो हो गया, उसके बाद अगले क्या हो रहा है, what are the other disciples doing. So it takes time, it's not that simple.
Thank you so much, sir.
I'd put up a question in the group also.
अच्छा, मुझे दिख नहीं रहा है.
It's still not come. So it was about procrastination actually. I'm since quite a few years I'm trying to solve that problem, but somehow it still get late for everything. So is it like you said you can ask Bhairava Baba also after. So how do I get across that problem? So
procrastination, again, these are questions, these are very generic questions. Procrastination, if you ask me that, there's no ask. So if you do Bhairava Sadhana, it builds your energy to the extent that you do work correctly. Normally, when people are slow in work or procrastinate more, generally there is more or less some issue with the placement of Saturn in their chart. Very often. One simple thing is that keep worshipping Bhairava, and for 42 days find a people tree, light a diya under it for 42 days. Not within sunrise to sunset के बीच में, sunset के बाद नहीं, unbroken, एक ही पेड़ के if you are able to do it, you will see results, changes. Most often they are not able to do it. बीच में कहीं break आ जाता है. That's all I can say, and you can pray to Bhairava to remove procrastination.
And also one more thing, I'm more attached to Bhairava Baba when you're doing the the prayers. But so you're saying about the Devi, so the Devi ka prayers also need to come in, like
it will come in.
Achha, it has to.
It will come in.
Okay, that's true.
Bhairava will. That is why I give this. That's why the Kamakhya Stuti Navratri में ये साधना इसीलिए दिया जाता है, so that it balances the energy correctly. So it is good to do Devi sadhana along. Bhairava works very fast. Some people, because of certain graha combinations, will feel Bhairava's presence much more intensely.
Much.
लेकिन देवी का भी करना है थोड़ा सा, ठीक है? At least that is why see in the विशेष sadhana, in the collective sadhanas that we do, there is always Bhairava and Devi. In fact, उसका थोड़ा modification आने वाला है. I will tell people, उसमें Bhairav part of the sadhana remains constant. The Devi part we can change slightly depending on what indications I get. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
On Nimittas and when the Devata guides you, how do we realize good Nimitta, bad Nimitta, and is this guidance for me? Basically, your tips on understanding Nimittas whenever it comes across in daily life, and also whenever doing sadhana.
No, best option is that if some Nimittas are crystal clear, कि कुछ positive हुआ है, तो you understand that there is some blessing of the Devi or deity who is there. निमित्त को ऐसे देखना है कि इट्स लाइक एन एक्सपीरियंस, यू एक्सपीरियंस इट, बट दैट डजंट चेंज योर साधना एनीमोर. साधना चलता रहेगा. निमित्त इज एन एक्सपीरियंस. एंजॉय द एक्सपीरियंस, डोंट गेट अटैच्ड टू इट. इफ यू आर कंफ्यूज्ड, you take advice, which means that you drop a mail कि ये साधना मैं कर रहा था, these are the things I experienced. Okay, now there are some people for whom everything is a nimitta. ये कौवा यहाँ से गया, निमित्त हुआ, इधर हुआ. उस चक्कर में मत फंसना. Once in a while if there is something genuine you feel, you can drop a mail, and either me or somebody will forward it to me. So my mailbox also I don't check. There are people who, because there are way too many emails. So but sadhana related emails are brought to my notice, and if there is anything that has to be told, I will mention it in mail. And if I don't reply, all mails are read. Sadhana related mails, every one of them is read. If I don't reply, that means that is the reply. Just carry on what you are doing. Okay. Nimitta judgment is again tricky. It depends on individual. There are some people who are so positive minded कि सब कुछ में निमित्त दिख रहा है. Or some people who judging nimitta requires a certain degree of detachment and depth. Otherwise, initially people can mistake things. Okay. हाँ, तो वो ऐसे करंट का है, उसका सोचना मत उतना. Not everything is a nimitta, but that's okay. Acha, we will end this now. I think we don't have much time, but we will chant the Kal Bhairava Ashtakam. Everybody knows that, right? एक चीज तो सबको आता है, बस बाबा का यही जो स्तुति है ना, ये रामबाण है.